Alright guys, iOS 26 has become one of the most talked about updates in years. But beneath all the hype and the headlines, Apple did sneak in a ton of genuinely useful features. So today I'm breaking down 50 tips and tricks for iOS 26 that you should absolutely know about. I've added timestamps for you guys so that it's easy for you to jump into any section that you're interested in, but I would suggest watching it through because I have some bonus hidden tricks. The major change with iOS 26 is liquid glass, which changes the way that your home screen looks. To further customize it, hold down on the home screen, tap Edit, then Customize. Here you'll find different themes for the home screen like Default, Dark, Clear, and Tinted. You can cycle between them and then choose the one that suits you best. If you go for the clear icons, you can also brighten or dim them using the button on the top left. The Tinted option here lets you tweak the colors, set them to match your wallpaper, or use the dropper tool to select a specific shade from it. Alright, but what if you're not the biggest fan of liquid glass? There is a way to actually tone it down a little. Just head over to the Settings app, go into Accessibility, then Display and Text Size, and then enable Reduce Transparency. Now this won't completely get rid of the glassy look, but it does dial it back, especially on the home screen and even in the control center to an extent. If you want to enlarge the app icons and remove the names for a more minimal look, you can do that in the same Customize tab by clicking this icon on the top right. With your home screen now looking shiny, let's check out the lock screen. So hold down the lock screen and then hit Customize. Choose a photo that has a subject and some depth, and once set, you'll see the Spatial scene icon pop up right in front of you. Click that, give it a second, and now you have a very cool lock screen to show off to your friends. Now, let's say that your wallpaper has a sky in it, but there just isn't enough space for the Spatial scene to really shine or for the clock to look properly placed. In iOS 26, you can actually extend the wallpaper. Just tap the three dots on the top right, hit Extend Wallpaper, give it a second, and you're all set. While we're still on the lock screen, here's a fun one that you should definitely try out. Just long press on the lock screen, tap Customize, and you'll notice these borders around the clock. You can drag them up and down to resize them, and I personally keep it on the larger size and then pair it with a wallpaper that has a clear subject. That creates a really cool masking effect where the clock blends into the wallpaper, giving it a look that just feels extremely slick. It's also dynamic, so if you scroll up to reveal your notification, the clock will adjust itself smoothly. Now, if you have any of the iPhone Pros or Pro Maxes or the iPhone 17, you should enable this new always on display feature that makes the screen a bit less distracting. To enable it, head over to Settings, Display, and Brightness, scroll down to always on display, and here you'll see a blur wallpaper photo toggle that is disabled by default. It basically blurs the wallpaper, smooths out the animation, and at the same time it makes the whole lock screen feel much cleaner. With fewer distractions in the background, your notifications stand out more and they are way easier to glance at. Now, with earlier versions of iOS, if you tried copying a message on your iPhone, iOS would just copy the entire thing, whether you wanted it or not. With iOS 26, you can finally copy just a specific word or a single sentence. So for example, I just want to copy TGT is goated from this message. To do that, just long press the message, tap select, highlight what you want, and then hit copy. All right, so it's time for the first bonus trick of the day. So you know when you take a photo directly inside WhatsApp or iMessage chat, that photo just lives in that chat forever. It doesn't show up in your Photos app, and good luck finding it later unless you scroll for like 5 years. In iOS 26, Apple finally gives you a fix for that. So head over to Settings, then Camera, scroll all the way to the bottom and turn on Save Captures to Photo Library. And of course, you can disable it if you no longer want the photos to show up in your library. With iOS 26, screenshots now open up in full screen by default, which is great if you want to edit, crop, or zoom into something right away. But half the time, you just want to save it or quickly send it to a group chat and move on. If the full screen preview feels like an extra step, you can turn it off. To disable that, head over to Settings, then General, and now there's a separate option here for screenshots called Screen Capture. And here you can disable full screen previews. Now, if you didn't disable it, once you take a screenshot, you'll see a bunch of options pop up on the screen. If you tap the bottom right button, your iPhone will instantly search whatever is in that screenshot on Google and then show you a list of results. For example, I took a screenshot of this car, Tap that option and it pulled up the exact same model on Google within seconds. It's definitely a useful feature if you're searching for something on the web and you don't know what to search for. Now, this next feature is essentially an extension of the previous trick. That circle to search features that you've probably seen on Android phones has now kind of made its way to iPhone with iOS 26. So after taking a screenshot, just circle the subject you want to search for and a Google search pops up from the bottom. You can simply scroll up to see the results without leaving what you're doing. If you want to highlight something important in the screenshot, the best way to grab attention quickly is by magnifying it. Just take a screenshot and then tap the markup tool on the top. At the bottom, hit the plus icon and then choose Add Loop. This adds a magnified circle onto your screenshot, which you can drag anywhere you want. Use the blue dot to change the size of the circle and then the green dot to control how much it's zoomed in or out. Now, I genuinely love this next feature because it's perfect for those moments where you need to quickly add an event to your calendar before you forget about it. So all you have to do is take a screenshot of any image that contains a date. In the screenshot preview, you'll see an Add to Calendar button at the bottom. Tap on that and you'll get a pop-up right there to create an event. Now, this is super convenient because you don't have to leave the app at all or manually create an event. Now, this is probably the most requested feature. Earlier, you had to go through GarageBand just to set up a customized ringtone. But with iOS 26, you can change to your favorite tone by just heading into Files, long pressing on the music you want to use, then click Share, and you'll notice there's now a new option here tagged as Use as Ringtone. In iOS 26, you can now decide what a tap actually does in Apple Music. Just long press on any playlist and you'll see a new option called Tap Action. From here, you can choose whether tapping the playlist opens it, starts playing from the first song, or just shuffles everything. For example, if I set this to shuffle, you'll notice a small new icon right below the playlist. And now when I tap on it, instead of opening the playlist, it instantly starts shuffling the music. Now, while iOS 18 had eye tracking, iOS 26 introduces head tracking. Now, this opens up even more options in the accessibility settings, especially for users with limited hand movement or who find touch inputs difficult. To turn this on, just head over to Settings, go into Accessibility, and tap on Head Tracking. Now, before you enable it, you can actually customize what each action does. For example, I've set a smile to act as a single tap and then raised eyebrows to toggle between ringer and vibrate using the action button. There are a bunch of other actions that you can play around with here, and you can really fine-tune it based on what feels natural for you, and it actually works flawlessly. Now, if you deal with motion sickness, you're probably already familiar with vehicle motion cues. What's new with iOS 26 is you can now manually customize how it looks. You can change the color, increase the size of the dots, add more dots, and even switch the pattern between regular and dynamic, which can make using the phone a lot more comfortable while you're in a moving vehicle. To tweak this, head over to Settings, go into Accessibility, tap on Vehicle Motion Cues, and then choose Customize Appearance. Now, this video is a lot of work. I needed a little bit of a pick-me-up here. And over the past couple of years, I've really been getting into making espresso drinks, but wasn't really sure how to move to a more professional setup. So what I needed was something that could get me pro results with a lot of versatility, something that would incorporate a tech component and streamline the process without needing multiple machines. And I also wanted it to look great in my kitchen. And that's when I found the Meraki espresso machine. So first of all, it looks amazing, and everyone that comes into my kitchen immediately asks me about it. The integrated touchscreen makes the workflow super easy, and it comes with everything that I need. It has a built-in grinder and scale, so there is no scooping or guessing. There's also another scale under the brewer, so I can brew by weight in real time. With the dual boiler system, I can brew and steam at the same time while maintaining full control over brewing and steaming temperatures. It comes with a ton of accessories, so I had everything I needed to get going, and now I can easily make consistent cafe quality espresso drinks at home anytime I want, and I'm having so much fun with it. So if you want to upgrade your espresso game, click the link in the description to learn more about the Meraki espresso machine, and thank you to Meraki for sponsoring this portion of the video. So normally when you're listening to a podcast, you tap on playback speed and then pick one of the presets like 1.3x, 1.5x, or 1.8x from the left. But in iOS 26, you don't actually have to tap through the presets anymore. You can just swipe left or right on the speed control to fine-tune the playback speeds with way more precision. And there's this really light haptic feedback as you do it, which honestly feels great. And if sideways swiping isn't your thing, you can even swipe up and down instead, whatever feels more natural to you. Now, once you've set playback speed using the swipe trick, you don't actually have to redo it every time. In iOS 26, you can lock in custom speed for each podcast in a podcast app. Just head over to the main page of the podcast that you're listening to, tap the three dots on the top right, and then go to Settings. Scroll all the way down to Speed and Audio Adjustments, and here choose Custom for this show. Now set your preference playback speed, and that podcast will always play at that speed by default. All right, so it's now time for the next bonus trick. So iOS 26 has this long-standing habit of making you reach all the way to the top of the screen just to go back. On regular iPhones, that might just be annoying, but on the Pro Max model, it's basically a thumb workout. With iOS 26, Apple kind of fixes this. You don't need to toggle on or off anything in settings for this to work. If you're inside the settings app and want to go back to the previous screen, you can now just swipe back from the middle of the display and it takes you right back. And if you've watched this far and you like the video, go ahead and give it a like and don't forget to subscribe. Now, if you keep getting spam or unknown calls, this feature is genuinely useful. In the phone app, tap the icon on the top right, go into Manage Filtering, and under Screen Unknown Callers, you'll see a new option called Ask Reason for Calling. Now, when this is turned on, calls from numbers that aren't saved to your contacts are asked why they're calling. That reason then shows up as a text on your screen, so you can decide whether it's worth picking up or not. And if you're done dealing with unknown calls altogether, there's also a silence option. Turn that on and then those calls get silenced, get sent straight to voicemail, and show up as missed calls in your phone app. But with iOS 26, Apple introduces a new, more unified look for the phone app that's quite different than what we've been used to over the last few years. If you're not comfortable with this new look and you want the older look back, head over to Recent and then click the menu on the top right, and here choose Classic instead of Unified. You get your favorites, recents, contacts, keyboard, and voicemail neatly lined up at the bottom strip again, and the search bar moves back to the top where it used to be. If you ever want a modern look again, just repeat this process, but this time choose Unified. Now, iOS 26 brings one of the most useful features for phone calls, especially when you're dealing with customer care or a complaint hotline. So let's say you're on a call with the Uber customer support for an issue with your food delivery, and the person that you're talking to puts you on hold and plays some awful music for the next 5 minutes. Instead of wasting your time and torturing your eardrums, just go to Settings, go to Apps, and then your phone app again. Scroll down until you see the option for Hold Assist detection, and once it's turned on, your iPhone will stay on hold for you and then ring you back the moment the person returns to the call. Now, if you get a call and you can't pick it up, like maybe you're in a meeting or you're playing with your dog, you can actually set a reminder to call the person later. Just open the phone app, find the missed call, swipe left on it, you'll see a red delete button and then a blue clock icon. Tap the clock icon and then you can choose when you want to be reminded. The options here are in an hour, tonight, tomorrow, or even later. Now, this feature has existed on Android for ages, but now it's finally come to iPhones with iOS 26. Now, whenever a phone call connects, your iPhone gives you very subtle haptic feedback. And when the call gets disconnected, you get another gentle tap as well. It's a small feature, but it's a really neat way of knowing what's happening with the call. To enable this, head over to the phone app, click on the top right icon, go to Manage Filtering, then scroll down until you see haptics. Go ahead and enable this toggle and you're good to go. Another thing you can do in iOS 26's phone app is that you can now check the detailed call history for individual contacts. Just open the Recent section, tap on the contact, and go into their info page. Here you'll find Call History option, tap on that, and you can see whether the calls were incoming or outgoing, along with the date, time, and duration of each call. You can also now mix 2 or 3 emojis and turn them into a single custom emoji using Genmoji. And you can send these as stickers on apps like WhatsApp, iMessage, Instagram, and more. To do this, open any messaging app, tap on the emoji icon, and then select Genmoji. Here you'll see a few suggestions that you can use right away, or you can tap the Add Emoji button on the far right. Now pick your first emoji, repeat this step to add another one, and once you're done, just tap the tick mark. The custom Genmoji is instantly sent as a sticker in the chat. Now, this next feature isn't necessarily revolutionary, and it does come with a prerequisite of having some friends. But all jokes aside, this is something that we've had on WhatsApp for a while, but you can now create polls in iMessage with iOS 26. Now to use it, open a chat, tap the plus icon, and select polls. From here, you can add up to 3 choices for people to vote on. So yeah, if you want to know where your friends want to go for dinner, Chinese, Mexican, or Indian, this makes deciding a lot quicker and a lot less chaotic. Now, if you're someone who sets a gazillion alarms just to wake up in the morning, this one is going to help. In the Alarms tab, inside the Clock app, you can now finally change the snooze duration manually. Now you can choose anything from 1 minute all the way up to 15 minutes. So if you need to wake up early without fail to head to Old Trafford, you can annoy yourself by keeping it to 1 minute and not sure if that's a flex or not. Now, this is a long-awaited feature on iPhones, and the best part is that it doesn't need any tweaking in the settings page at all. The moment you plug in your iPhone for charging on iOS 26, you'll see an estimated charging time show up right on the lock screen. This gives you a clear idea of how long it takes to fully charge. It's especially helpful when you're about to leave for the office, or you just want to know whether you have 5 minutes left or 30 minutes. Now, if you compare iPhones to other phones on the market, they're known for having fairly average battery life. Now, sure, there is a low power mode, but it only kicks in at 20%, which is sometimes too late. iOS 26 tries to fix this with something called adaptive power mode. So instead of waiting for the battery to hit rock bottom, it makes small performance adjustments throughout the day based on how you use your phone. And it does that by slightly lowering brightness and shutting down unnecessary background services and apps. To turn this on, head to Settings, go into Battery, tap Power Mode, and then toggle on Adaptive Power. You can also enable notifications here so you know when it's active and don't start panicking when performance dips a little. Now, this next feature is basically here to save you from embarrassing yourself. And yes, it does exactly what the name suggests. So if your iPhone is connected to multiple Bluetooth devices like your car or speaker at home, and you're listening to music on your headphones, iOS sometimes loves to randomly switch the audio, and suddenly your secret playlist is public knowledge. To avoid that, you can just head over to Settings, go to General, tap AirPlay and Continuity, and enable Keep Audio with Headphones. Once this is on, your audio stays locked to your headphones unless you decide otherwise. Now, if you're the type who randomly goes on shopping sprees while you're cozy in bed, but your wallet is just chilling downstairs, this trick is going to save you a trip. In iOS 26, you can see your full credit details right inside Apple Wallet. Just open Wallet, tap the card that you've already added, and then at the top, you'll see a small icon that looks like a card with numbers. Tap that, verify with Face ID, and boom, card number, expiration date, and security code all right there. You can even add a little description so you know which card it is. This is perfect for those moments when you just need the security code quickly and you don't really feel like going to get your wallet. All right, so here's the third bonus trick for today, and this one is for the Files app. Now, when you open Files, every folder pretty much looks the same. They're all blue, and the only difference is the name, which is not great when you're trying to quickly find something important. To fix that, just long press on any folder you want to customize. You'll now see a new option called Customize Folder and Tags. Tap on it, and you can pick from different icons or even add an emoji if you want a more casual look. What's even better is that you can change the folder's color using the Tags option, and this way the folders that you use the most can stand out in bright colors, making them way easier to spot at a glance. There's another new setting in the Files app that makes life a lot easier if you always open certain files with the same app. For example, let's say you have your driver's license saved as a PDF in Files and you always prefer to open it in Quick Preview. Instead of choosing the app every single time, you can set it as a default. Just long press the file, tap Get Info, and you'll see an Always Open With option. From here, pick the app that you want, and that file will open there by default going forward. Now, this next feature makes using the Files app a lot easier. If you have multiple files inside a folder and you just want to quickly glance through what's inside, you don't have to open it fully. Just tap the arrow next to the folder icon and it will expand to show you the files or subfolders right there. You can browse the contents without actually going into that folder, which is perfect when you're quickly searching for something and don't want to keep jumping in and out of folders. In iOS 26, iMessage now makes it very obvious when you've blocked someone. To try this, open a chat with a contact, tap the arrow at the top near their name, and then hit block contact. Once you go back to the iMessage list, you'll see a small blocked icon next to their name, and if you enter that chat, you won't see the text box or keyboard until you unblock this contact. Now, if you're browsing a website in Safari and you want to jump to another tab, iOS 26 gives you a few ways to do it, including a new one. So first, the usual method, just tap the three-dot menu and then choose all tabs. Second, you can just swipe up from the tab bar to bring up your open tabs. And the newer trick is you can simply double tap the three dots button and it takes you straight back to the all tabs view. Now, if you ever want to duplicate a Safari tab, it's super simple. Go into the all tabs view, long press on the tab you want, and then select duplicate from the options. It instantly creates a copy of that page, which is perfect for when you want to compare something side by side or keep the original page open while you explore further. If you're someone who has hundreds of Safari tabs open, it's probably time to organize this chaos. Go into the all tabs view and then tap the three dots on the top left and choose arrange tabs by. From here, you can sort them by title, for example, which arranges everything alphabetically. So you'll see sites like Apple's official page show up near the top and YouTube will be near the bottom as you scroll. It's also an option to arrange by website, which groups tabs from the same site together. Now here's the fourth bonus trick for today, and you're going to love it. If there's a website that you open almost every day, it's much easier to put it directly on your home screen. Even better, you can turn it into a web app so it works like its own separate app instead of inside Safari. To do this, just visit the website, tap the menu button on the bottom right, hit share, scroll down, and then choose add to home screen. You can rename it here and make sure open as web app is turned on. Once it's added, it sits on your home screen and then it opens independently, almost like a proper app. And now there's no need to open Safari and search for it every single time. Now here's a cool one in the Photos app. So just go ahead and open Photos and then pick any photo where there's a clear subject separated from the background. On the top right, you'll see the Spatial Scene button. Tap it, give it a second to process, and then gently move your phone left to right. You'll notice this really cool 3D depth effect kick in. It almost feels like the subject is floating slightly above the background. In iOS 26, you can now customize the gestures and controls that appear when you use the camera control button. To check this out, head to Settings, go into Camera, and then tap on Camera Control. Here, look for Controls and then tap Customize. From this screen, you can choose which gestures you want active, uncheck controls you don't use, and even rearrange the layout by dragging items up and down. And this lets you fine-tune the camera controls so that they match the way you actually shoot. And speaking of the camera app, indicators are basically those quick toggles like flash, live photo, and action mode that sit on the top right of the camera UI. If you find them distracting, you can just turn them off. Just go to Settings, then Camera, tap Indicators, and disable the ones that you don't need. And don't worry, you're not losing those features. You can still access flash and the rest through the control menu on the top right, so they're just hidden, they're not actually gone. Now, if you don't want your iPhone's microphone to record audio while you're shooting video and you'd rather use the microphone on your AirPods, you can switch that pretty easily in iOS 26. Open the camera app and then switch to video mode. Now pull down Control Center and on the top, tap the green camera indicator. Here you'll see an input section. Tap on that and you can select your AirPods from the list. Now the video's audio will be recorded using the AirPods microphone instead of the phone's built-in microphone. Now another cool feature is a lens cleaning reminder. So in iOS 26, your iPhone can remind you to clean the camera lens before taking a photo, which is actually more useful than it sounds, because half the time bad photos are just fingerprints on your lens. To turn this on, go to Settings, head into Camera, and scroll down until you see the lens cleaning hint. Enable it, and your phone will nudge you when it thinks the lens might be dirty. Now, if you use the Notes app a lot, you're going to love this one. So earlier, you had to swipe through that bottom toolbar to find formatting tools, which wasn't hard, it was just a little extra. But now it's adaptive, which in simpler word means smarter. The moment you double tap a word in a paragraph, iOS brings up the formatting options automatically. Like it already knows you might want to bold it or change the style. Now, if you've got a messy list sitting in the Reminders app, Apple Intelligence can now help you clean it up. Let's say that you've dumped everything into one list. Instead of sorting these things manually, just tap the three dots on the top right and choose Auto Categorize. iOS organizes everything into neat groups automatically, but it's not flawless every time, just double check. Now, if you're planning on trading in your iPhone, you're at the store and they're asking you for your IMEI number. You don't actually have to read out those tiny digits one by one. You can just go to Settings, then General, tap About, and scroll down to IMEI. Long press on the IMEI number and you can choose barcode from the options, which can be scanned directly. There's also an option called Share Device Identifiers, which lets you share the details over NFC. All right, so these were 50 of the most useful tips and hidden tricks in iOS 26. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see a similar video for One UI 8.0 or iPadOS 26. If this is your first time here, my name is Sagi. You know what I always say, buy it nice or buy it twice. Good luck and see you soon.